Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the latest version of Linux Mint Debian Edition 2. Now, if you're not familiar with Linux Mint, you need to get familiar right away. It's pretty much the best OS I've ever used, and that's not hyperbole. I've used a lot of OSs, and particularly the Debian Edition is incredibly stable. It doesn't have any of the system D stuff that I consider to be pretty shaky still, based on the testing I've done in the server room. Um, and it doesn't have any of the Ubuntu upstream stuff that all the versions of Mint really seem to fix. So anyway, without further ado, this is Linux Mint. Today we're going to be looking at the Mate version. You can see I've got my panels down here. There's Firefox, and at this panel here I've got my workspaces where I can actually see the different windows that are open, and I can use it to switch to different workspaces as well, instantly and quickly. And then over here I have a workspace as well that's got labels so that I can kind of know, so that each desktop has a purpose and a reason for being that I'm familiar with. So, so yeah, let's check out some of the apps. Obviously there's Firefox, works great. That's the browser that most people, I think, use and need. You can also have a version of Chrome that works perfectly. Here's the start menu. The start menu is great. I've customized mine to use the apps that I regularly use, including LibreOffice Writer. That's definitely the part of LibreOffice I use the most. But there's also a great spreadsheet, a great PowerPoint clone, and pretty much an entire Office suite. And the great thing about Linux Mint is this is all built in. It's not, you don't have to go and install any of these after the fact, like Windows. You don't have to buy any licenses. It's just all there. It's all there right away. And unlike Windows or Mac or Ubuntu, it doesn't spy on you and send your data back to headquarters. Um, Particularly the Debian version. I mean, it's just so simple. It's just Debian underneath, so it's really really reliable, solid, never crashes, never gets viruses. It's just an amazing uh, operating system. So let's take a look at some of my apps here. Here we've got another Firefox instance open, and here I'm monitoring a bunch of servers that I have to take care of because that's what I do because I'm a nerd. The terminal is great. Uh, I have the terminal set up right now to be a little bit transparent so I can see through to the desktop. I like that. You can do a lot of things in the terminal and Linux Mint that you just could never do in Windows. Here's an instance of Chrome running with a lot of tabs open, including the Linux Mint vote, subverse, I guess it's called. And here's another terminal. This is one I use a lot to ping things and see if they exist in our network or outside of our network. Here's Thunderbird. Thunderbird's great, super reliable, super sturdy. Here's actually an instance of HTOP that's showing how my computer itself is running. And as you can see, I mean, I have a pretty beefy computer. It's an i7 with 16 gigabytes of RAM, but it's just barely using any CPU or any RAM. And that's with a ton of apps open, and I've even got a virtual machine here running uh, Windows XP. I find it convenient for doing tests for older people or people with older machines who to make sure that they have compatibility with. There are still some people out there with Windows XP, so I have to have a test machine just for that purpose. Um, and obviously in here I can run any Windows apps I want. But these days I don't really run any Windows apps. I mean, there's no point to that when you've got the superior Linux apps built right in. Here's my remote desktop protocol, and here I'm managing a router. Pretty exciting. Um, and here I'm remoted into a Windows 7 machine, and here I'm remoted into another Windows 7 machine that's also managing an ESXi cluster. Although I'm not as crazy about the ESXi cluster as I am about Proxmox, which we're replacing our ESXi clusters with. Proxmox is an open source version that I like better, and again, it's based on Debian, so I can actually SSH directly into this server and manage it as I would manage any Debian server. And here I'm monitoring all of our network devices and servers, just making sure that nothing's wrong. There is something down here, but it's not serious. It's a Wi-Fi hotspot that somebody unplugged at one of the schools. Here's another thing that I use for monitoring our bandwidth, etc. And yeah, so that's Linux Mint. It has everything built in. It's pretty awesome. And if you have any questions or comments about it, feel free to hit me up or leave your comment here in the channel, and I'll take a look. All right, have a great day.